shine on through. And don't fight the feeling, just keep on feeling. Everybody keep on moving, 'cause I know we can get it over. So baby, give it all you got. Let's keep rising to the top. Give it all you got. Oh baby, give it all you got. Give it all you got. Give it all you got. You gotta wake up your body, yes, sir. Live. Let's go. Wake up your body, wake up your body. Yes, sir. Yeah, man, we live. Welcome to another episode of the TCK Web3 News Roundtable, episode 63. It's your boy T.Gold. I got none other but NFTia. She was MIA last week. She was out there with her family in Ohio. So she got to tell us recap about that. And we got Just Cheeze in the building. And we got a special guest today. You know what I'm saying? So I got always ask my co-host, how you doing? What's going on? How was your weekend?
Oh man. So just to recap from last week, it was my niece's birthday. She had a surprise birthday party. And for you guys that have not been to my sister's IG, she does like some amazing event planning. Her name's Events by Torsha. Nonetheless, so she threw my niece a 106 in Park themed party.
That's fly.
And we had the tables. We had everything. We were supposed to have a freestyle Friday, but it didn't happen. But it was all the way there. I partied so hard, I felt like I worked out in the gym for 4 hours.
Wow.
It was a good old-fashioned 2004 vibe. And it was nothing but family and friends. So big up to my sister Torsha. My niece was not surprised because she is just, she too with the shit to even be surprised. However, nonetheless, she was surprised about how well, and it was really like the best party I've been to in years. So,
that's lit.
And it was with family, no BS, just a good old fashioned time.
That's
so
lit.
Yeah, it was one for the ages. And then in terms of this weekend, Friday we got to. I'll let Joe touch on that. We got to go to a wellness center, and we're looking to have an activation there. And that's all I'm going to give there for Atlanta Tech Week. The vibe that could potentially take place is it's one of those unique places and venues that you can't get anywhere else because it's not in Atlanta.
Wow.
And that's what I see happening with this particular location. And secondly, we were able to go and meet up with Jay Chains. Shout out to Jay Chains.
Big up.
It was a super duper great first meetup. Great vibes. The pizza was fantastic. We got rained out. However, that was a dope event. Then yesterday I just chilled with my family, cooked, barbecued.
Awesome.
Did all that. Everybody checked in with me, so I just had I just been in a good space. So
that's good to hear. Just Cheeze. How was your weekend, bro?
Friday was dope, as Tia mentioned, right? I sat down. Initially, we weren't going to even meet up. We were just going to have a call on the phone. And then RC suggested that we actually go to the bookstore gallery, see what it looks like, experience it, and think about what we can activate in that space. And when I talked to the founder of the space, right, it was very, very interesting the way, like, him being a business. Like he worked at Deloitte. I worked at Accenture, so we were both in consulting.
Okay.
He left consulting to go get his MBA at Emory, and then he's been starting working on his own, and now he has his own wellness center. But they have a CTO, and the CTO has an has an app that they are the CTO. She's in charge of a couple of things, but they have an app that was actually built or are being managed by this guy that we've probably seen before.
Okay.
At Crypto Mondays.
Yeah, that's dope. Small world, man.
Small world. So I was like, oh shit, all these like things are coming together, and I forgot. I haven't seen him in years, but then I was like, oh, so this is where you be hiding out. He's like, yeah, I'm a partner in this business, and so he now has his whole, app that he's built out and using it for businesses. And then I was looking at it, I was like, wow, this is a perfect tandem for Skylark as well, because of the ability to, his app rewards people for sharing things on social media.
Yeah, that's dope.
So that's like hand in hand with Skylark. But so we just had that great conversation, and now I'm just looking forward to seeing what we can do there.
Yeah, man.
How was your weekend, T?
It was dope, man. I got to the J Chain's event late, but nevertheless, I still was able to, connect with him and some people out there, so that was super dope. Pizza spot was alright, you know what I mean? It's not like New York pizza. I know J Chain's from Chicago, so I gotta talk my pizza shit. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, it was good though. It was good, and best part about it is he said he's gonna be doing this once a month. So might change events, might just be at this pizza spot. Either which way, it's dope to have more Web3 events at ATL. It was more like a Bitcoin and pizza kind of event. So yeah. I know afterwards I told the people who was left over, like, yo, man, let's pull up to Battle and Brew. So we went there and, played a few games, man, getting busy on Street Fighter and Tekken, on the big screen. So, we was thinking about when Web3 games finally launched, like Off the Grid and Shrapnel, when they finally launch, mainstream. It's gonna be lit, man, so we'll be able to potentially have our digital assets in our wallets, our gaming skins in our wallets, and go to these events and connect our wallets and level up, start playing games like that and competitions and tournaments. I can see this going so many ways, man, with the Web3 gaming. So it was dope out there with Battle and Brew, just to kick it with some people from ABC, outside of ABC, and just have a good time, man. So yeah, man, that was Friday. And Saturday, I was just cooking up, man. I had a long month, so I got all of my content together, all my news articles ready. I got some stuff clipped up, ready to go. I got some reels, ready to cook up, drop on all social media. So, I'm happy about that. I got caught up on a lot of work because mainly May, I'm going to be cooking up some graphic design work. I got a lot of work I'm cooking up. So, yeah, man, it was a pretty good weekend for me. So I appreciate y'all asking that, and I think I want to set it off, man, with our special guest, man, because he back here in the cut. He been coming to ABC for a minute now. I don't know if you want me to say your whole name or give the aliases, because we use our aliases up here. You know what I'm saying? So Barry B. We got him out here, man. So. He's coming from the investment banking world. That's where he's coming from. He's coming from banking. So to have him have his perspective and experience in banking and seeing how blockchain can help, that industry and the use cases for it, I think that's going to be interesting. So we can take a deep dive into that. So, because he's new here, we're going to put him on the spot, man. This is the hot seat, man. So you got to introduce yourself because we are live on Instagram, we are live on YouTube, and we are live on Twitter, aka X. So, yeah, man. Barry B, man, tell the people who you are, where you from, the industry that you're in, and how do you see blockchain integrating into the banking system?
Okay, first of all, T.Gold, thank you, NFTia, Joe, to the entire Atlanta Blockchain Center. Big shout out. As T.Gold mentioned, I've been coming down here probably for the last, close to 6 months, and it has just been an incredible experience in terms of how the entire ABC has welcomed me in and educated me on blockchain. My background is finance. I've got an undergraduate degree in finance. I've got a law degree. I've been working in banking and finance for some 25 plus years. I'm currently, I sit on the board of a financial institution, so I have my finger on the pulse of some of the things that are happening in the marketplace. To answer your question, I think banking and finance are in desperate need of what blockchain has to offer. It's going to change the paradigm shift in terms of how banking is done. I tease people when I'm here at the Blockchain Center and say that, look, I'm the old head in the room. I remember when you had to deposit a check and it took 5 to 7 days for it to clear. When in actuality, the banks were clearing that money right away and they were just basically floating your money. No pun intended. But again, there's so many use cases and need for blockchain technology in banking and finance. Everybody here at the ABC kind of knows one of the first projects that I talked about was, again, securing the actual lien instruments for banks and financial institutions. It's something that is a huge problem in the banking and finance area. It affects consumers with regard to identity theft. If someone steals your identity and goes and fraudulently, records a lien against your property and you don't know, these are things that are becoming problematic and are going under the radar. But the banking and financial institutions are aware of it. So there's some applications that I'm working on that'll develop that. And again, it's going to provide a more frictionless experience for banks to be able to secure their assets, protect their assets, and then also protect the assets of the consumers. So
that's right.
There are going to be a whole lot of things that are going to be critical, that are going to be beneficial to the consumers, to the general common person out there who's often affected by identity theft. So with identity theft, again, we don't have any control over that. But when you have things such as blockchain technology that can actually verify transactions, verify things that are on chain, it will help consumers really protect themselves from some of that fraudulent activity. Last, I think, again, right now, I think the market is down and it's purposely suppressed. I think the banks and financial institutions are positioning themselves to bring institutional money on chain. It's not a matter of if, it's when they're going to, again, clear regulation to get, regulatory clarity. And those institutions are going to come in and take advantage of the opportunity and present that to the masses, because right now there are still a lot of people who are completely unaware of what's going on in the blockchain space. Again, sitting on the board of a financial institution, I saw 2 + 3 years ago when the Federal Reserve was coming to key financial institutions and asking them to test out their CBDC system. CBDC is central bank digital currency. So that was 3+ years ago. The Federal Reserve was tapping well-run, well-capitalized banks and financial institutions to say, hey, test this out, because they know it's coming. And it's going to be a situation where, again, when you talk about the likes of XRP that can move money in seconds, it's going to be a game changer for both, again, institutional banks and consumers alike.
Man.
Woo!
Man, we gotta give you a round of applause for that. Man. Give you a round of applause. Wait, hold up, y'all. Hold up. I got something special this week. I got the sound effects. I got the sound effects. So we gonna give you an official hand clap, brother. We gotta give you an official hand clap. You know what I'm saying? Like, I gotta find it on here because this shit is new. But regardless of what, alright, yeah, it's fresh. Yeah, everything is fresh. I got sirens. So right now I found the siren, man. So we gotta give you the siren for that. You know what I'm saying? We gotta give you a siren for that, man. You know what I mean? We gotta keep y'all high alert on what this man is doing in this space. You heard? So with that being said, B man, thank you for being here today.
Yeah.
We appreciate everything that you have contributed to ABC because you're very knowledgeable. And yeah, man, it's always good to have people from different generations be able to explain blockchain technology to people in their generation, and it might sound like, you know, Chinese to them, you know, or Mandarin, I should say, you know. So yeah, man, blockchain technology is very sophisticated. There's certain layers of it, especially to the people who are developers. But right now, they got something called vibe coding that my boy Just Cheeze, you know, he be cooking up over there on some vibe code and shit. So, but yeah, we're going to get into the topics, y'all. We got to get right into the topics. And let's talk about what's going on in the markets, y'all. All right, so right now, I know over the past week, we've seen the market move up, man, especially Friday. So Bitcoin surged past 95K for the first time since February, climbing nearly 2% as investors reacted to signs of easing U.S.-China trade tensions after President Trump softened his stance, right? So, China denied formal trade talks. It rolled back tariffs on some U.S. semiconductors and considering exemptions on other goods like medical equipment, all right? So, all right, so you got U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said that the president's trade war against China was unsustainable for both sides involved. So I'm glad that Trump has some good people in his corner that's really knowledgeable about, you know, global economics and what's going on with these trade wars and tariffs. So I got to get, you know, all of my co-hosts' thoughts on this. The market is starting to heat up again. Trump said he's been speaking with the president of China. So it's not going to be those crazy rates they was talking about. They was talking about like 145% tariffs on Chinese stuff. And it was what? China was going to do 125% on, you know, American goods. So I was like, man, it was going to be ugly. But now, things cooling off. I'm happy about that. Market's heating up. Co-host, what's your thoughts? NFTia.
Yeah, so I'm a little bit indifferent as to whether the Bitcoin price rose because of the tariffs.
Okay.
And that was the relief valve that, or the switch that caused Bitcoin to rise. I know with the whole Jerome Powell debacle, I felt like it rose more along the backs of that personally. Then secondly,
Good point.
yeah, I mean, yeah, thank you. Secondly, I would say that I'm still holding to my stance on that Bitcoin was going to initially start to rise towards mid-April. I've been literally saying it since Trump was sworn in and that executive order was released that they had 180 days. And it's almost like it's an omen at this point because it's literally on par. And I do think we will see Bitcoin rise over the next 5-7 weeks, then have a slight dip going into June. But after regulation, whenever that comes, we'll see it skyrocket. So you know, a higher high, a higher low type of situation. Personally, I think, and it's on par for the regulatory roadmap that's been set out. But in regards to the tariffs, so I have this chart here. You guys can't see it. China was exporting over close to $500 billion to the U.S., while the U.S. was exporting, and this is last year's numbers, these numbers may be off a bit, the U.S. was exporting to China roughly $150 million. China was paying practically nothing in tariffs, while the U.S. was paying tariffs. So, I don't know in what world does that make sense, and who struck that deal. However, that was a lopsided deal that needed, as Marlon would say, some disrupting. Did Trump go overboard? I do believe, but that is in true Trump fashion. However, I do believe that that system needed to be disrupted. That's like me having a job and making $100,000 and not paying taxes like the rich in America, but then asking someone who makes $60,000 or $40,000 to pay 10% taxes. It to me is just a lopsided deal. That's my take.
Good point. Good point.
Yeah, it's a good point. I think when it comes down to the tariffs, it's just posturing. A lot of it is political posturing to kind of shake up things, and that shaking up things is what Tia is referring to. When things get shaken up, get disrupted, and you find ways to fix it. So even if you are doing some short-term downside in the market, the goal would be that you come out on the other side with some solution that at least makes it formidable for parties to continue down the way that they're going, and also allows the market to return as well, and not be so dependent on, maybe partially the economics that were put into place. So yeah, I agree with everything being said. I think it's interesting though to see how this plays into the larger macroeconomics of things, because that's the thing that I care about when I see these things. I've been trying to learn about macroeconomics and how this, really is a it's a part of one story on another hand around tariffs, but it's also a major play into the the treasury bonds. So
yeah, good point.
So it's not one side thing. So you got to think about how on the U.S. side, right, the posturing is posturing because at what risk are we willing to actually shoot ourselves in the foot to then be able to, win a tariff war? We would have to want to make some amends and step backs and concessions to protect to avoid that from happening. So that's been the side that's most interesting to me, learning more about how, you can't lean one way too hard and then not expect to fall off balance.
Let me say one more thing.
Great points.
To Joe's point, the protection that Trump put in place, and it doesn't say it here, but I did hear somewhere that they did have some exemptions for certain precious metals, and then as well as automotive parts, consumer electronics, and semiconductor related electronics. So clearly, like all the clothes and all that other BS y'all sending, y'all keep that. But the stuff that we need, we ain't gonna charge y'all. In other words, in other essence.
B, we got to get thoughts from my guy B. B, what's your thoughts?
So, with regard to, let's talk about the tariffs first. Again, I'm going to personally say I thought that was a certain amount of market manipulation. With the market manipulation, it's unfortunately our president's strategy to take a pretty aggressive bully approach. The problem is you can't come to a gunfight with a knife.
That's right.
When you saw the high tariff threats and all of a sudden there was a retreat, that was a result of the bond market. So Joe mentioned, the bond market. What people have to understand is that bonds and stocks react inversely. Okay, and this is a basic, economics 101 example here. When stocks go up, bonds go down. When stocks go down, bonds go up. You had a situation where because of the threat that our president put out there, it was making both of them decrease, which could basically, for lack of a better term, bankrupt the country overnight. Because if you had countries that hold a large amount of our treasuries, though that being bonds, and they were to sell them off, we would have to basically come due on that. And a lot of people don't understand that aspect of it. I think, folks were saying, okay, Jerome Powell's going to get it pushed out, but he has a little bit more clout than people think because, again, he's controlling the interest rates that are going to affect the bond market. Okay. Not to get too deep in the weeds, but, again, ladies and gentlemen, it's a global economy. And for him to try to trash the U.S. economy, that's one thing, but the U.S. economy affects so many other major global players that it just doesn't make sense. And, you can, cry wolf and say, okay, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and do the other. But at the end of the day, one of my favorite lines is, figures don't lie and lies don't figure. The numbers are the numbers. And you can't get around those numbers when you start seeing both bonds and stocks, cratering, and that could, again, implode the entire U.S. economy. So that's my 2 cents.
Yeah. Man,
Yeah, man.
coming with the heat.
Yeah, man. You coming with some great takes. Great takes, man. We appreciate you, B. We got 2 people requested to speak. We got Ant Mathis. We gonna put him up on the stage. We got our guy, Plan Profit. We got both ABC members up on stage. One is the president of Stand With Crypto Georgia chapter. You see the sign right behind us. And the other just released a book, Crypto A to Z. We're going to welcome both of our guests to the stage. How y'all brothers doing today? First, Ant, step up to the stage, and we're going to have Plan Profit follow up. What's going on, Ant? All right. We waiting for him to get up on stage. We waiting for Plan Profit to get on stage. But meanwhile, man, these guys, man, they've been cooking out here in ABC, man. So there's going to be some events that are coming up, and I'm looking forward to seeing what my fellow ABC members are going to be cooking up out there. We got Atlanta Tech Week coming. So I guess the fellas are having some slight technical difficulties because I have invites set up, but we're going to wait for them to get situated. But meanwhile, man, yeah, we definitely have some great takes from all my co-hosts today. So let's talk about what's going on with Dogecoin mining. Y'all interested in mining Doge? Because I know a lot of people, Bitcoin might be a little bit pricey to mine, but Doge, it might be a little bit more affordable, but who knows? I got to ask some devs about this because that is something that I am not too familiar with, just the mining aspect. So, Dogecoin mining company Z Squared is merging with biopharmaceutical firm Coeptis, all right, to create a publicly traded crypto mining operation focused on Dogecoin and Litecoin, with plans to divest Coeptis pharma business. Set to finalize in Q3 of 2025, the merger will give Z Squared access to wider capital markets to expand operations using 9,000 Doge mining machines in the U.S. Amid growing competition in Bitcoin mining, companies like Z Squared are shifting to focus on Doge and Litecoin, which have become increasingly profitable, helped by Dogecoin's $27 billion market cap. All right. So, we got my guys up on stage. Yes, sir. Ant, you want to take the floor first?
I'm going to wrap up with you guys at the end of the call.
At the end of the call.
Got you. All right, cool. So hold tight, brother. We appreciate that. And thank you for tapping in and listening. Plan Profit, what's going on, brother? How you doing? The floor is yours.
I'm blessed, man. First of all, thank y'all for having this space. The music was crazy in the beginning, bro. While I was in my kitchen dancing and all types of stuff.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So that was super dope. To y'all point though, you ever watch wrestling growing up?
Yes, sir.
So for a long time when I was little, I swear I thought wrestling was real.
Me too.
You feel me? Like, I really thought that they was really wrestling and beating each other to death every night. And I think the gentleman mentioned it earlier. It a lot of this stuff is it's scripted in a lot of ways. You know what I'm saying? And it's benefiting a lot of different people who got a lot of money. But to Tia's point, right, just in 2025 right now, U.S. exports to China is $20.36 billion. U.S. imports from China is $73.2 billion, right? And so just and I understand that Trump's perspective is kind of like, okay, in a lot of areas we have not been getting what we should be getting as a country, and I respect that, and I kind of in some ways admire his aggressiveness with, you know, trying to get what we deserve.
That's right.
But I think a lot of this stuff, as far as the conversation and the rhetoric that is manipulating the market, is being done on purpose. I wouldn't be surprised if Trump and China, if the president of China and Trump already had some backdoor deal where it's like, look, this is how we finna play this play. This is what we gonna do. This is the route we gonna take. This is what we gonna cause to happen. But in the end, this is what's gonna happen. You know, like, it's already kind of figured out. You feel me? Because what I think is starting to happen is, and it's really nothing that the U.S. can do about it, because we're seeing it a lot with the things that are being produced in China just from a tech level. Aside from the tech, China is one of the largest commodity producers in the world.
That's right.
Another one is Russia. So commodity-backed currencies are going to continue to have there's going to be this flipping of fiat-backed currencies over commodity-backed currencies. And while I believe that we can use the U.S. dollar as a weapon and the U.S. still has its military, I don't think that bully value or that bully narrative is going to be able to hold up the way that it has in the past. And I know previously I've talked about how strong the U.S. is, and throughout history, you know, well, throughout recent history, the U.S. has dominated on a lot of different levels financially. But I believe that there's going to start to be a rise in value behind commodity-backed currencies, which is leading me to the segue of Bitcoin. I really believe that Bitcoin is going to be what we consider a commodity-backed currency because of proof of work. You feel me? Which is what y'all was talking about with Doge. I'm not sure about the consensus mechanism for Litecoin, but I know for Doge, it's still proof of work. So I believe a lot of these currencies that are backed by either commodities or backed by physical proof of work are going to start to flip a lot of the fiat currencies that we value throughout history. That's really why I'm bullish on Bitcoin over Ethereum, because Ethereum, in a lot of ways, with the proof of stake, is still kind of like a fiat currency because you can print more when you want to. You feel me? So I think a lot of this stuff is staged. I think it's important to focus on accumulating more Bitcoin, because as this confusion and as this uncertainty continues to happen, the world is going to flock to Bitcoin, believe it or not. And I think there's going to be a lot of attention, a lot of growth around that. So, yeah.
Great take. Yo, man, my co-host is cooking today. My guest is cooking today. I like this. Yeah, man. We appreciate those thoughts. You know, Plan Profit, he got that book out, Crypto A to Z. Y'all please tap into that on Amazon. But yeah, man, that was a great take, brother. Great take. And to piggyback on that, I'm gonna give you the floor right quick, Cheese. But just to piggyback on that, y'all know gold just hit another record high too. I think it hit like 3,500 an ounce, which is crazy. You know what I mean? So people are definitely flocking to, you know, more safe investments, man.
Harder assets.
That's right. Go ahead, Cheese.
Yeah, I really like the point of the commodity back assets. And I think that's why stable coins are such a big conversation right now. And I do think the U.S. will be challenged. And I think part of one of the things that they're going to have in their arsenal as we are being challenged is stable coins. And I feel like being able to buy back the debt, tokenize it, then give it as an RWA to the banks, etc., to then be able to issue their own stable coin will keep us relevant in all these other countries that want options, right? As those other assets are there, here we still got you. We still got that USDC, or we still got that USD XYZ that you can use as well. So I think we will try and definitely poke our way through there in those means there.
Good point, Cheese. Yeah, y'all. So, any thoughts on mining Dogecoin? Because I know you have stepped away for a hot second, Cheese. But anybody got any thoughts on
Mining
Dogecoin?
Dogecoin?
Yeah. Um,
I like
Basically-
Larry's.
I met these people in East Denver
Okay.
that were doing it.
Oh.
That's it.
I like Larry's take on mining Dogecoin and Litecoin and looking at it as alternative currencies. Like, yeah, Bitcoin may be viewed as something as strong as the dollar, but what other proof of works can possibly be like the yuan and things of that nature? Now, I don't see it that way, but I did like that point of view. However, for me, as it relates to Litecoin and Doge, I just struggle really hard with finding the actual use case other than gaining the price action. Period.
Good take. I mean, that's a great argument that a lot of people have just about crypto in general. Go ahead, Cheese. You got it.
The thing that I see is happening, right, is you never realize like how much the value of micro communities are going to allow for some of these niche tokens to really take off for their community, right? Like I mentioned 2 weeks ago that there's a Shiba Inu taco wings, Shiba wings.
Shiba wings. Yeah. You did say
in
that.
Australia, and they opened up a location in Dubai, right? So what crypto does is it very, very well is create the ability to have microeconomies that we all relate to the same, notion of like XRP army, and I'll go to, where my other XRP army veterans are, and I can do business with them, and I can, etc. So I definitely see Larry's point from there, because the world's not going to be a single like on one chain, but we need to be able to really be able to be cross chain, and multiple communities we may have to do transactions against. So from that regards, I don't discredit anything really anymore. Not even meme coins. I'm not saying I'm gonna jump into everything, but I don't discredit any coin really to kind of reactivate its way back into like the enablement of niche microeconomies.
Good take.
Good take, Cheese. Yeah, man. Microeconomies, man. That's what it is, and meme coins are definitely that, and community coins as well, and shit. Those got a $27 billion market cap, and the only thing you can really do is buy Dallas Mavericks tickets and merch, and you used to could buy a Tesla with those. I don't know if you can do that anymore, but yeah, I appreciate everybody's take on that. That was dope, man. Everybody's cooking, man. Yes, sir. So, because we did mention China, and we did mention, what's going on with Bitcoin, right? Let's talk about Mercari. This is another e-commerce company that's getting into transactions in crypto. I'm a fan of Mercari because I had some sneakers that I had got ordered twice, and I was able to sell it on Mercari. So I was familiar with this marketplace. So I was happy about this. So starting in June 2025, Mercari, one of Japan's largest e-commerce platforms, will allow users to buy items with Bitcoin through its crypto exchange subsidiary, Melcoin, which sellers will be able to be paid in yen via real-time conversion. With over 22 million monthly users, Macari has been steadily expanding into crypto, offering Bitcoin and Ethereum trading since 2023 and recently adding XRP. All right, so this move reflects Japan's crypto-friendly environment and positions Macari alongside Rukaten, I'm not familiar with that, at the forefront of making digital currencies more accessible for everyday transactions. But based on the article, Rukaten is another big e-commerce platform that's big in Japan. So, because I'm familiar with this platform, I'm hoping that they're really successful out there in Japan so they can roll this out in the United States. I won't be using Bitcoin. I'll be accepting Bitcoin. I won't be, buying anything with Bitcoin. But I will, I might spend some Ripple. I got a couple Ripple. I'll spend some ETH on it, but I'm not planning on using like everyday transactions for Bitcoin unless it's like a real need, But I gotta hear takes from all of my other guests. What do y'all think about, e-commerce platforms like Macari? Hopefully we can see Amazon, eBay doing the same thing. What's y'all takes on this? Who wanna go first?
Yeah, I can go first. Yeah, so interestingly enough, Rakuten, right? That's the other one. Rakuten is, it's just like the Japanese Amazon.
Gotcha.
When I used to live over there, where people just go, like they go online, they order stuff, they go on Rakuten, and Rakuten came over to the U.S. in like, I don't know, like 5, maybe like 7 years ago now,
Okay.
and they sponsor the Warriors, right?
Golden State Warriors.
Yeah.
Really? Oh, I didn't know that. That's what's up.
Yeah. So, and now they even have an English version of the site, right? So, I think in that regards, they're definitely ahead of what we can already be doing. Like Amazon could enable this for us. Why not? Why have not done it? Because that is the level that Rakuten is over there. It's not. I mean, it's not. I'm not saying it's globally bigger than Amazon, but that's where if we go to Amazon, they go to Rakuten.
Gotcha.
Right. So it's like 7-Eleven versus Shell.
Yeah, and you've experienced living in Japan before,
Yeah.
so that's why you're familiar with that too.
Yeah.
No doubt. Appreciate that.
You know how I feel about all these rollouts. I feel like it's the natural progression. I feel like if the U.S. had more regulatory clarity, Amazon would have already started to roll out their rails. I'm pretty sure they're nice and built out, being fine-tuned and well-oiled for once that clarity happens here. You notice that they mentioned that they are rolling this out. These are going to happen in Japan. They did not mention the U.S.
No doubt.
But however, once clarity is hit, they're letting you know we already have the engine revving, and we'll roll it out once that happens. So I just feel like this is just, again, week by week, when we see things like this, one by one is just legitimizing the growth and the maturity of the Web3 space. And these are tangible examples of how. So,
Great point. V, what's your thoughts, brother?
So I think that you're going to have, as Tia mentioned, a slow progression. I think all businesses are going to benefit from the ability to be able to accept some form of Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, and the like. The bigger ones, again, the Amazons, the companies that you mentioned in Japan and China. I mean, I remember Alibaba. You could get anything on. All of them, it behooves them not to accept some form of cryptocurrency. So I think one of the things that struck me was recently when I saw a Coinbase ad that had a older gentleman, and then his grandson came in to help him with the company or help him with the store, and the grandson helped him set up how to accept crypto in his store. You're going to see that on Main Street soon, and you're going to find, again, you're going to have the Coinbases and the other exchanges that are going to provide some form of bridge that's going to allow there to be payments made, just like you would have payments made by, Cash App, Zelle, Venmo, and the like. So again, I think it's like Tia said, it's going to be the natural progression. It's going to come on board soon, and I think sooner than we think.
Great points, y'all. Great points, y'all. I appreciate everybody's take and commentary on that particular story, y'all. And we live on Instagram. We live on YouTube. I want to give a big shout out to all our viewers who's watching us. We at ABC, and you see we got the merch on. And y'all ain't even say nothing about the phone case cover, man. Y'all been passing around the new phone case cover. We Web3 wavy around here. So for those that can see us visually, yeah, man. I got my case cover. Is actually, the texture is real dope. It's sturdy. So if you need some dope Web3, merch and gear, hit IGetsBusy.com. And, yeah, man, get you some Web3 wavy merch, man. Whether it's a phone case cover, a shirt. I got some new shirts I'm cooking up too. So, we got to stay fly for the summertime. And we got some events coming through. So, we got to represent. And I got some more stickers too. I bought some more stickers. So I got some stickers on deck too. So when we out there mixing and mingling, we can hit these stickers up. People hit the QR code and, just be curious on what the Atlanta Blockchain Center is. Boom. Take it right to them, man. So we're going to switch it up. We're going to do something a little bit different that I haven't done before. So I'm going to let my co-host, I'm going to let y'all choose the next story. All right. So I had a couple of stories, and I know normally we couldn't get to this many. So I wanted to ask y'all which story y'all want to go with. All right. So we got PayPal planning to offer 3.7% reward on their stablecoin PYUSD, or Brazil becoming the first country to launch a spot XRP ETF. Which one y'all want to go with?
The first one.
PayPal.
Y'all want to go with the PayPal story?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So, PayPal plans to offer U.S. users a 3% annual return for holding its PYUSD stablecoin in PayPal or Venmo wallets, starting this summer, with rewards accruing daily and paid monthly to boost adoption. Meanwhile, U.S. lawmakers are debating stablecoin regulations, including potential bans on paying interest to holders to protect bank deposits. Wow. You see that? You see that curveball they threw right there? So B, yeah, we definitely gotta get your take, guys. I already see it in your face, bro. What's your thoughts?
So again, as I mentioned before, again, they were keeping the markets down. They were doing a lot of market manipulation to make sure that they could ensure they get their pound of flesh. Again, when you had Dodd-Frank that came in, that was a piece of legislation that prevented banks and insurance companies from directly competing. Mm-hmm. You're finding the same phenomenon happening now, where banks and financial institutions are realizing that some of these fintechs, that in some cases are blockchain-enabled fintechs, are coming in and basically going to be able to eat their lunch. From the standpoint of when you can go to a particular coin and earn yield, okay? That's what the banks and financial institutions are supposed to be able to do, is 3, 5, 7% yield.
Tell them about the rates the banks are offering, the disrespectful rates the banks are offering.
They're offering rates at 2 and 3%. I mean, it's really disrespectful, okay? And to the extent that you can go to some of these projects out here online, on the web, and get yields of 7, 8, and 10%, again, it's the smart money. And institutional investors, institutional companies are realizing that. I mean, I think a lot of people took notice when Michael Saylor took his strategy to buy up all this Bitcoin. Mm-hmm. And initially,
oh, no pun intended. I like that.
Yeah.
Strategy.
Okay,
That's
strategy, right?
Yeah.
Strategy, right? Because it's strategy,
no doubt.
Where he was basically using debt. He got a loan, borrowed money, and then bought Bitcoin, and the return on the debt that he borrowed was astronomical when we had that rise in the beginning of the year. Mm-hmm. And so he had a whole bunch of other bond holders and bond issuers offering him additional money to do the same. So again, I think to your point, you're going to see the convergence of the banks trying to make sure that they get their pound of flesh. They're going to start offering. They're already starting to offer custodying your cryptocurrency, and are going to try to again provide the same type of rates, yield rates that you would on a savings account, checking account, or some other money market opportunity. So again, my favorite line: figures don't lie, lies don't figure. The numbers are the numbers, and when you start really doing a side by side comparison of what kind of yields you can get off of some of these projects, it's only going to make sense that they're going to come in and really try to take their pound of flesh, for no pun intended.
Great take, man. See, you came here on the right day. We talk about banking. That's your area of expertise.
Yeah.
You hit it right on the head with that, man. We appreciate that. Anybody else got any thoughts on this, or you want to move on to the next one, Tia?
I got some things too, but yeah.
All right, no doubt. We cooking today, y'all. We cooking. I like that.
Listen, so I'm gonna take. Can I take the controversial take like I always do?
Go ahead. Larry almost went there too. Playing profit. He almost went there. We almost went down that conspiracy rabbit hole. But go ahead, Tia.
What stable coin that pays you directly without staking on a platform, without doing anything? Hold this stable coin and we'll give you an extra 3% on your money.
USDC.
USDC just for holding it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Without staking?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. My USDC.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I thought you had to stake it in order to.
Because in my trust wallet specifically, I had so USDC and it's gaining yield just by sitting there.
Just by sitting there.
No doubt. I don't know if every wallet does that,
every
or
wallet
is
does that, but yeah.
that's just USDC specifically, no matter where you have it. But definitely in my trust wallet, it does that.
Okay. So I stand a little bit corrected. However, PayPal to me is, and I'm not just talking PayPal Mafia and all these guys though, but
go there.
I just personally believe, like when I see their stable coins integrated on certain platforms, I just steer away personally because have y'all ever used PayPal for e-commerce and stuff like that?
Mm-hmm.
Like I used to use it for trucking, and there would be times where PayPal, I would get my payment, it clear, and they would hold it for 21 days.
Mm-hmm. What?
Before they even let you touch it.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
Like you already showing that type of oligarchy over my money in the traditional Web 2 world. I'm in Web 3 to run from that bullshit. There is no way that I want to do business on Web 3 with someone who does that has that type of control, and they can cut my water off on my wallets and stuff like that. So when I see PayPal, stablecoin, no matter what, yes, I'm trashing you because I just feel like the way that you guys go about doing business is a little bit trash.
Shots fired. Man. All I know, man, is hold on, guys. Somebody got their mic on. Somebody got their mic on.
Bird chirping. Somebody want to say something?
I had a quick comment, but I can wait till y'all done.
Okay. No, I think Tia, you're on point. The only thing I was going to say is, again, that yield is all part of the game of incentivizing things that they want you to do. That yield, right? They need these bonds to be bought up and then give them to the banks, and then banks now incentivizes them and tries to give them to you, the consumer, right? And you can play towards it, but when it's valuable for them, they'll raise the rate so we can put our money in there. When it's not valuable for them,
That's right.
they lower the rates, and now that's where we're at right now, right? We all used to have days of 5% on the fiat currency that we have right now, but now we're gonna get less than less than 1%, if that.
Yeah, man. My co-hosts and guests are cooking today, man. Larry, man, my bad. Ain't want to dox you. Plan Profit. If they get that book, they're gonna see your name anyway. Speak your mind, brother. Speak your mind.
So it the ability for all of these financial tools and these platforms that are coming out, right, to offer these rates that are higher than what we've seen in history, I believe it is proof of their belief in how much volume is going to continue to enter into this space, right? And so I think it's important to remember consensus mechanisms are very important because proof of work is kind of like commodity backed currencies, right? Mm-hmm. Proof of stake is kind of like fiat money, right? Mm-hmm. And so as we get deeper into this Web3 thing and more volume comes into the market, it's important to remember that this is nothing but a mirror of, it's an evolution of what has been. And throughout history, we know that fiat money has no real value outside of what is perceived. Right. However, commodities have actual value based on physical, it has a physical element to it, which is why gold is valuable. This is why gold has reached new all-time highs, right? So it's important to remember that if you want to keep it all the way real, if you're able to dollar cost average and holding Bitcoin is giving you a better return than any of these new tools, any of these new investment vehicles that are coming. And I think Tia made that point about PayPal. The only reason why they're doing this is because it's locking you into their system. Mm-hmm. The other gentleman, I forget your name, man, but I talk to you all the time. The guest that's on, Barry. Yes, sir. He hit it on the head. Like the banks are floating your ends, and so a lot of this is just a continuation of that same philosophy. It's just being disguised under this Web3 umbrella, and if you're not careful, you'll get so caught up in that you won't really realize that a lot of these tools and vehicles are just a continuation of the same old shit. So I have to agree with Tia when it's like, man, F PayPal, bro. Like, but I also have to say, and this is not a plug, but check out Sui and what they're doing, and your ability to earn yield as you stake. And the reason why I think that's important is because that's the real. Mm-hmm. Okay? Yes, I will give you this return, but you're staking your money. At least tell me the truth. That's right. Don't try to paint it like you doing me a favor and all you got to do is hold this and you're going to get 3. Because that's true. PayPal can at any point freeze your assets. Mm-hmm. They can stop things. It's the same thing with Cash App. You feel me? Mm-hmm. So I think it's really important to understand the importance and the power behind proof of work and how it relates or how it correlates to commodities and commodity-backed currencies or currencies that are based on governments that produce a high amount of commodities. You feel me? So I just think that's really important to remember. Like, don't get so caught up in, oh, this is on the chain. Everything is going to be on chain. Everything is going to have a Web3 layer embedded into it at some point. Right. So it's still important to remember gold is gold. Gold is always going to be gold. So keep that in mind when you considering consensus mechanisms and really do your research. And I did check it out. Litecoin is also proof of work, which makes sense. Doge and Litecoin are proof of work. No doubt. Bitcoin is proof of work. No doubt. That means something. That is very important to remember. That's it.
Yo, I'm going to give you a round of applause for that, man. Give you a round of applause for that, man. You know, I got the sampler now. I got the sampler popping. You know what I mean? So we lit out here, man. You heard? You know. So B got some thoughts on this too, man. You was cooking on that though. Appreciate that.
So big shout out to you, Larry. You hit the nail on the head when you gave the example. It was a perfect analogy, the proof of stake versus the proof of work. That couldn't be more spot on. So I applaud you for that. And we have to continue to educate each other to give those kinds of examples, of existing examples in terms of what's going to be happening in the future. So to that point, again, understanding the basics, and I know sometimes it's difficult when we talk of these high economic or global economic issues, and it can be confusing sometimes, just like it was very confusing for me when I first came to the Blockchain Center, understanding just level one, level two, web one, web two, web three, and you all educating me on it. It's going to be so important that we continue to educate each other and remind, something that's going on. And I'm going to digress here for just 1 second. When you talk about gold, and the price of gold is at an all-time high. You have some things that are going on in Africa right now, in West Africa. I'm a Pan-Africanist, and you've got some countries that are now starting to take control of their own mining. You've got Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali that are now taking control of their own gold mines and putting out the other colonizers. And you're going to watch how that has a potential transformative impact on the global markets of both gold, and then you're going to see how people are going to start to try to position themselves. I mean, 2 years ago, big shout out to John Hope Bryant. I went to the Hope Global Forums 2 years ago, and at that Hope Global Forum, he had J.P. Morgan, he had the Treasury Department, he had Office of OMB, he had all of the top financial people at this particular forum. And it was when I saw the people from J.P. Morgan there, and they said it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And that's what got my attention, ladies and gentlemen, is that, there's an old saying, follow the money. Big money 2-3 years ago started to pay attention and started to put its foot in various aspects of blockchain technology and cryptocurrency. Again, it just didn't want to make it too obvious. When you go back and you look at, say, BlackRock, since the beginning of the year, I mean, they have bought more Bitcoin than most people. And so you're seeing one of the largest asset managers in the world doing what? Going to a flight to safety. That flight to safety is what? Bitcoin. So again, you're seeing these large institutional companies whose job it is every day to quote unquote make money protecting their assets. And they're going where? Bitcoin. So pay attention, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, man. Yo, my guest is cooking today. I really appreciate everybody's thoughts and commentary, man. I appreciate that, B. I appreciate that Planned Profit, man. And everybody right there watching us on YouTube and Instagram, we appreciate y'all tapping in too, man.
Can I
Seeing
say
the
one more
visuals.
thing
Oh, yeah,
on
go ahead,
when
Tia, go ahead.
When he spoke of the Pan-Africanism, it just hit home with commodity-backed currencies. And when we had that talk about tariffs initially, and I don't know if you guys remember, and I was just saying, like, the biggest group that we need to pay attention to is Africa. I said that because all the commodities come from Africa. That's the end of the day. Not all, but most of your meaningful ones come from Africa. And when you were just talking about, not to go on a tangent, but when you were talking about like just the commodity-backed currencies and things of that nature, and it just took me down the rabbit hole a little bit, but I'm gonna keep it brief. With Gaddafi, man, like that was his vision, not to go there, but can we just go there a little bit?
Yeah.
So when Gaddafi,
Yes, go there.
Larry, you funny.
Yeah, we pushing the envelope today.
No, but we know why Gaddafi was murdered, because that was his vision, and that is what he envisioned for Africa. And what I see with these smaller nations taking on that for Africa to do the whole time. And so when I said with the tariffs, my biggest fear with America with these tariffs is because I live in America. However, if you look at what China is doing, to Africa and what America has done in terms of repeatedly raping Africa. Like, and there becomes a situation where who is going to get these commodities, and we really get in a commodity war. Trump does not want that smoke. That's it.
I do want to add.
Hot topic.
Finality of their transactions, right? So they got more security in that in that way, right? So in the in a cross chain future, you know that brings more eyes to Bitcoin as something more than just a proof, a store of value, right? It can be a better version of currency of cryptographic security.
Good point. Man, y'all smoked that, man. Y'all definitely killed that. I appreciate everybody's thoughts and commentary on that. Yo, Larry, man, I don't know what you did, man, but you definitely, as soon as you put, the little conspiracy thoughts in the air, man, this shit started cooking. You know what I mean? But I appreciate that. We love going there when we got to. You know what I'm saying? We got to put people on blast to let y'all know what time it is. Especially coming from, real people who are seasoned. You know what I'm saying? I got some grays out my beard. You know what I'm saying? And I know B, he a little bit older than me, but at the same time, it's experience and wisdom that we bring into this space. So we know the freedom that Bitcoin brings, especially to oppressed people and countries, man, and people are taking back what's rightfully theirs. And, movies like, even though it was fictional, Black Panther, calling somebody a colonizer, that stuck. Yo, what the fuck?
We just did crashed. It got.
Yo, we got rugged.
Whoa, that's because we were talking commodity stuff.
We got rugged.
That's
we never
crazy.
got rugged.
We started.
No,
talk-
we've been rugged before.
Not
like
that bad.
this. We going live again,
Whoa.
man. We going live again, man. He said, yo, they keep spaces, they listening. Yo, listen, man.
Sorry about that, guys.
Hello. We still live on YouTube and Instagram, so we letting people know we got rugged on Twitter.
Man.
You know what I'm saying?
I said
because
that too.
we even said it. We went down that rabbit hole and shit happened. So I'm gonna caption this. We got rugged, but we back. We got rugged.
We might have hit a nerve that we wasn't supposed to hit.
It's all right now. We was. Yep. We back. All right.
Sorry about that, guys.
Sorry for the technical difficulties for everybody watching on YouTube and Instagram. But we was cooking, y'all. We was cooking.
Did they even let you back on?
So we gonna play. Matter of fact, we gonna go take a small intermission because everybody who was there, we had at least a dozen people, up on the spaces. So we We back because we know we still got 2 more stories we want to talk about.
I don't see you popping up.
You know what I'm saying?
Let me refresh it.
I'm gonna play some music right quick. Wait for the room to fill up, and we gonna stay back on the vibes, man. We gonna keep this vibing, y'all.
Okay, you back.
Man, listen, we gonna go with this. Cause it was cold blooded what y'all did, man. Cold blooded what y'all did, man. Yeah, this the vibe we on. Yeah, cold blooded what y'all did. You know what I'm saying? We gonna wait a couple of minutes, let the room fill back
They
up,
ain't
man.
like that.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh.
I know they ain't like that. That was foul.
Dang,
You know what I'm
like,
saying?
I'm not even seeing your live pop up. What's going on?
So
You got something
know,
on there, but why can't I get back on?
we got a few people tapping back in. You know what I mean? So we getting it right. We apologize to everybody who is listening. We got rugged. You know what I'm saying? So it was kind of spicy what we was talking about. We started talking about Gaddafi. We started talking about people who had 19.
You can't use the name.
19 assassination attempts on his brother's life in Africa.
Ooh.
You know what I'm saying? But what y'all did was what? Blooded. Y'all was cold blooded for that, Twitter. X. Cold blooded. You heard? You know what I mean? But we back. We back, man. We back. We gonna keep it moving, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Cause no matter what, they can't stop this, man. Information is already out. They knew what happened when they let the internet loose to the public. There was gonna be some controversial thoughts and subject matter that we gonna discuss, and there's gonna be information that we gonna divulge to the public that they should be aware of. All right. So if y'all wanna quote unquote call us woke or whatever, I don't like that term. Because it's actually been twisted and manipulated. So with that being said, I know people on the right, they like to say, anti-woke, we're going to kill woke and all of that. But most people on the right, they was anti-vaxxers. So if you anti-vaxxers, then you woke. You know what I mean? So y'all don't even know the right way you're using the words, man. So I just want to thank everybody for returning back to the spaces. We're going to put our guy, Plan Profit, back up on the stage. And we're going to send an invite to Aunt Mathis, because I know he said he wanted to wrap it up with us towards the end. But we're going to throw y'all up on the stage. And, Plan Profit, what's your thoughts on us getting rugged as we was cooking, as we was talking about those hot topics, man? All right, he ain't on the stage yet. We got Ant on the stage. But yeah, what's your thoughts on that? That was kind of whack. Oh, who? Go ahead, Ant.
Yo, what's up? This Aunt Mathis. What's going on this TCK Web3 News Roundtable 6 trade?
Listen, man, I know your bloodline, man.
On them, y'all.
I know your bloodline, brother. You know what I mean? Your pops, man. Yo.
Hey, did y'all go see Sinners this weekend?
Nah, I'm gonna see it next weekend with my daughters, man. That's something I gotta take my daughters to.
When you go see that movie, you'll know more about my bloodline.
That's what's up, man. That's what's
Go
up,
look
man.
at my Instagram and look at my grandfather, and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about.
Wow.
Read it. I come from that long lineage. What do I think about it? Hey, we know what. We don't even. Come on, y'all. We already know. We already know. I know this is a little bit off topic, but I want to give a shout out to Coach Prime, Deion Sanders, and his sons for getting drafted to the NFL. They try to rug them too.
Yeah, they did. But check it. But check it. And we deal with numbers, and we deal with guard time. That man was selected, 144. Y'all already know that's a resonator right there. If you add that up, that's 9. That's the number of completion. That boy was supposed to get selected at 144. That's a powerful number right there.
Yeah.
You already know.
Tom Brady got passed up by everybody. Tom Brady got 7 Super Bowls.
That's right.
And you know who coaches Shedeur Sanders on the side?
Who that?
Tom Brady.
Whoo! That's crazy. I didn't even know that.
You don't think Tom Brady was in his ear while that draft was happening?
Yo, it was
All right.
Yo,
let's
you
get back
cooking,
on
you
subject.
cooking, you cooking.
I'm super excited about that. Congratulations, like I said, to Coach Prime, to his sons. We all saw that. We all know what's up.
That's
He
right.
also has some other students that he took, athletes that he took under his wing. Travis Hunter went to the Jacksonville Jaguars.
That's right.
Cameron Stills went to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Some other players went to the Tampa Bay. So shout out to Coach Prime and being a great leader as a man, a father, a football coach, an athlete. We need that in this day. That inspired me to let us know. I'm in a chat with some of those here in Atlanta for a tech group, and on Sunday morning they said, "What do y'all think about this?" I said, "Don't get me started. Don't get me started. We all know what's up." But I hope that everybody, kids and parents, can see this and stop forcing their kids into sports, think that's the answer. We are superstars in this tech space, and we got a lot of dope examples right here in Atlanta. And we're going to highlight some of that, and we're going to use this as an example to let parents and kids know that what we're in is a league.
That's right.
It's a league where we don't have to worry about going to a combine that looks very similar to a slave trade.
Yep.
We don't have to wait for them to say, "Okay, you're next." Man, I'd be mad as hell if I play football my whole life and then I got to go to a team that I don't want to play for. I should be able to pick my own team. Things have to change. Things have to change. So with that being said, I'm super excited about what we're doing. Just keep our foot on the gas, no brakes. Check out Centers. It'll definitely inspire you. When you look at Centers and you watch it, you will be able to see how, if you catch the message, how the technology that we're working on, if we can apply that here now and in the future, we ain't got to worry about what our past and ancestors and what the movie depicted that happened to people. So anybody know Ryan Coogler? Tell him to hit me up. I got an idea. And I love the way that brother talk, man. He keeps it 100% him. He's from the Bay Area, California, and he ain't changing for nobody.
That's right.
No one. And neither are we.
That's
Be
right.
yourself. Train your mind. Higher God level. Control the animal in you. And we got this technology, y'all. This is important. Barry, I appreciate you being here today. I'm looking at y'all right now on the screen. I see the Atlanta Goods. I see the NFT energy drinks. I see Skylark, Tia, TCK. I'm on one right now. So I'm going to stop and looking forward to working this week and getting to some good things that we have coming up here in a very, very near future. Top 10 and 5. Peace.
Top
Go,
10 and
let's
5.
go.
Let's go.
Yo.
Let's go.
Yo, Ant, man.
Big shout out to Ant.
We got to shout you out. We got the Stand with Crypto sign behind us too, man. So you know we repping for you, brother. We got to big them up too, man. Y'all got somebody special on y'all team when y'all selected Ant to be the president of the Georgia chapter, man. And he just has a phenomenal interview y'all need to check out too with Vincent Owens. You know, that's the Crypto and Coffee podcast. So tap into that, y'all. You know, that was a dope interview, Ant, too, man. You know, so we got to big you up. Yeah, man, so my team is fire, man. I put my team up against anybody in Web3. You know, we the Web3 Avengers, man. You know, and we going to stand on that. You
I
heard?
got something for you after this.
You got something for me, man?
Yeah. in regards to Web3 Avengers.
Yeah, man. So we constantly cooking, man. So I appreciate everybody, you know, tapping back in, man. So we apologize for any technical difficulties, but we had to give y'all the truth. You know, we had to speak that real shit, man. So speaking of conspiracies,
Ooh, we ain't going
and
back there. We
issues.
don't want to get kicked back out.
Nah, this is something that happened. You know, this public knowledge. But let's talk about with Nike. The reason maybe they saw something we didn't, but they stopped their partnership with Artifact. That was an NFT platform that they have. They have their own .swoosh thing going on. But on April 24th, images tied to the Clone X and Animus Ethereum NFT collections, that's under Artifact, y'all, temporarily disappeared due to a hosting issue after Cloudflare downgraded the account serving the files, citing a terms of service violation. Yeah, really? Although NFTs metadata and ownership remain safe on the blockchain, the off-chain images became inaccessible, exposing the risks of centralized hosting. The disruption followed Nike's December 2024 shutdown of Artifact, the studio behind the collections. To prevent future problems, former Artifact head of technology Samuel Cardillo announced a plan to migrate about 200 gigabytes of image data to Arweave, a decentralized storage network, by the end of April for about $2,800, ensuring permanent and independent access to the NFT visuals. Now, this brings me to the controversial topic of, are NFTs really NFTs, or is it just you're paying for access to the link to the NFTs? And it seems like this is exactly that case. So a lot of people feel strongly about Bitcoin ordinals because they are literally inscribing data, digital data, onto Satoshi, which is basically 100 million Satoshis make up one Bitcoin. So they're inscribing data on that in ordinals and runes. Runes are like the meme coins of Bitcoin, and ordinals are the NFTs. So to me, when you inscribe that data onto ordinals, yeah, that's more of you owning your digital asset, and there's no link to it. It's in your wallet. I got a couple of ordinals. So I was very I don't have any CloneX and Artifact NFTs, but I do follow people in this space, and a lot of people were very pissed off. At first I thought they were kind of trolling, but I was like, damn, this really happened. And like I said, maybe Nike saw something that, maybe their shit was janky. You know what I'm saying? And they chose to just fall back. But yeah, man, I thought this story was very, very interesting, and I gotta hear my co-host thoughts on this particular story. Yo, what do y'all think about people's NFTs valued around like 2,800? I think the cheapest one was. What do you think about these NFTs supposedly disappearing? Okay.
And we talk about this with Ethereum-based storage, because Ethereum, obviously, a lot of their nodes are stored on AWS, and we say this very thing could happen if there is ever a glitch in some of the nodes that are stored for Ethereum as it relates to staking. Which brings me to, listen, I'm not shilling, even though I believe in the product that I'm working with. But one of the things, I had to pull it up because I forgot the name. But one of the things that I appreciate about Walrus on Sui is not just that it's decentralized storage and all the features that you get with, like decentralized storage. But one of the big features that I really like, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. One of the big features that I like is called Red Stuff Erasure Coding. And what that is Walrus uses Red Stuff, a two-dimensional erasure coding method for efficient data storage and recovery, which is big. Allows for low cost, effective data recovery, even if some nodes fail. So, and that's something that you can't do with Amazon. So you could have a CryptoPunk and not even know that if a glitch happens on the Amazon side, that CryptoPunk could be erased just like that Nike NFT, and that $1 million asset is wiped away immediately, right? And that is one of the safety valves that storage on Sui has versus its other competitors.
Talk your
I
shit.
just wanted to just throw that out there.
Talk your shit. Big up the Sui, man.
Yeah, big up the Sui. Yeah, I was going to highlight Walrus as well. So I like to throw in the other animal of the sea, the seal.
Oh yeah, they got the
I
seal
haven't
now.
even got down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, they got the seal now. So I think we layer in Walrus and seal together, you got more security and control. That was an article that I was reading this weekend, right? Like decentralized storage is going to be important. Arweave and Walrus were the two big ones that got their name called in the article that I was reading after this debacle.
One more thing. one more thing as it relates to Walrus that I really like is Walrus is not just a protocol for Web 2. I mean Web 3. Web 2 projects and companies and websites can also integrate with Walrus. So it's literally changing the landscape of storage and making it decentralized, fair, and safe. So,
Yo, with that being said, man, we got to big up Swede, man. Yo, I got some socks. I should have wore the socks today. You know what I'm saying? Word up. But at the same time, if anybody is an investor in Swede, I know they happy this week. I know, Swede been running up, man. If you take out any of the stable coins in the top 10, if you take out USDT and USDC, Swede is in the top 10 in cryptocurrencies. They got $11.7 billion market cap. All right. So keep your eye on this, man. Rumor is, I don't know if I should let this alpha out. Should I? I told
let
T.
it out, let
All right,
it
I'm
out,
gonna tell you
let
like
it
this.
out, let it
I
out.
ran across some exclusive information, and if you heavy in the trenches, we got our guy playing profit with his hand up, but I'm gonna let out this alpha right quick. Then I want him to speak his mind. There's a company called Niantic that actually own Pokemon. All right. And Niantic, they ended up selling Pokemon to a company called Paracel. You know who owns Paracel? Swede. So, there's a good possibility that Pokemon Go, all of that, is going to be on chain. So, there's token 2049 in Dubai that's happening. And they said they're supposed to have an exclusive, revealing or whatever that information is, whatever that alpha is. The rumor is Pokemon Go will be on chain on Swede.
So you know what else?
Yeah, I was going to talk about it. The data part of Pokemon.
Oh yeah, that part, but not only that. So, when you told me that 2 days ago, T.Gold, and I was you know what else Niantic owns? They also own Eighth Wall. So
Eighth Wall. What is the
Eighth Wall? Is a AR, augmented reality.
Okay.
Engine.
Mm-hmm.
Much like Unity, but focused specifically on augmented reality.
Okay.
So you can build AR experiences with Eighth Wall and stuff like, if you put your phone over this BMW, things will like elevate off of it, or you can read information off of the side of the BMW.
Ah, that's fire.
Right. So I'm speculating that these assets, these AR assets, are going to be on chain with Swede, and then they're going to be in your Meta glasses.
Fire.
With Facebook.
Fire.
Me and Barry was just having that conversation. Didn't we say that Swede is going to build it out and then come back and say, I love you again, Meta. Let's get remarried.
Mm-hmm.
We already hear rumors of them reintegrating with
Meta?
No, with Messenger as well as WhatsApp.
Got you. Yes.
So
yes.
things is cooking, man.
Yep.
Things is cooking. I'ma just
Yo, and a lot of people feel like Swede will be like what Solana was in 2021, the last bull run. If y'all know what Solana did in the last bull run to see where it's at now, man, y'all might want to pack your bags with some Swede. So big up to them. Playing Profit, the floor is yours, brother.
Real quick. So, Ann kind of talked about this, and B talked about it also. So, actions speak louder than words, right? And a lot of times, ain't nobody who in that position gonna tell you nothing, but you can tell a lot by what they do.
Mm-hmm.
These other platforms, this NFT thing with the Nike situation, things disappearing for a moment because the host that's hosting all of this this web power tripping. A lot of Ethereum's web power is coming from Amazon, AWS, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's important to remember, bro, you think these institutions want to buy Bitcoin? You think they want to get, like, they wasn't lying 2-3 years ago when they were saying all this stuff was BS. They have no choice because throughout history, we've always had to ask for a seat at the system's table. Yep. These institutions realize that Bitcoin is bigger than their systems. Bitcoin trumps their systems. Bitcoin is the only network-centric proof of work platform, meaning the more you try to hack the network, the stronger it becomes. It's like $100 billion bounty for any computer or anybody that can hack the Bitcoin network. And even though quantum computing is going to evolve, the network is still agnostic. I mean, the network is still immune to that because of the network-centric nature of it. Bitcoin is literally the definition of decentralization. It's almost like guerrilla warfare. When Ethiopia, the reason why Ethiopia is the only uncolonized country is because of its geography. You can't go in and fight these people. Like, they can kill you with guerrilla warfare. The same thing happened in Cuba. The same thing happened in Vietnam. So the only reason why these institutions are even buying Bitcoin is because they understand that they can't beat it. They can't transcend it. They can't create a system around it to get it in a headlock like they've done everything else throughout history. And so, again, it goes back to my original point. We're going to continue to see these weird little things happen to show us that a lot of these platforms and a lot of these proof-of-stake systems and consensus mechanism driven platforms driven by proof of stake, even proof of history, and even the hybrid of proof of stake and proof of history with Solana. The system cannot put Bitcoin in a headlock. That is extremely important to remember. That is why they have to bow down. That is why they're using it as a hedge against inflation. That's why they accumulating it on the low and then not telling them, BlackRock ain't buying no Ethereum. Not like that. Now they'll offer Ethereum ETF and take your money. Right. They'll offer XRP ETF and take your money. But what they're buying and holding is Bitcoin because Bitcoin is network centric by nature. It's like the human body. The more diseases, the perfect human body, the more diseases that it encounters, it actually builds up immunity against them. It's like snake venom. The salve is in the wound. It's the same story of salvation through Christ. It's the same thing about how you create anti-venom. And so it's really important to remember these things, and I will put my word behind this. These things will not happen to Bitcoin. You see what I'm saying? And that is very important to remember. Again, I'm not saying don't expose yourself, but me and Tia was talking about this earlier this week. It's like, okay, Sui is up. What you gonna do? You know what I'm saying? And it's important to remember the only reason why these systemic institutions, these financial institutions, these legacy financial systems are bowing down to Bitcoin is because they have no choice. Man, that right there should let you know that even though a lot of this stuff is going to yield a lot of money and it's going to make a lot of profit, I say this all the time, the only woman I'm married to is Bitcoin. Everybody else we date. Because I know at any moment you can flip on me. At any moment your network can go down. Bitcoin is the only system that functions truly decentralized and is network centric. That is very important to remember. You see what I'm saying? And so it goes back to what Ant was talking about why people were so mad about the situation with Prime. Because he came to the table he came to the room with his own table.
That's right.
Versus throughout history, the NFL is always like, nah, you got to come get a seat at our table, and we're going to tell you how you have to come. You have to come in this certain way. And the irony about all that stuff with Prime is I truly believe he's a follower of Christ. Even though this situation may seem how it seemed, the end result is every single media outlet, sports in the United States was talking about Shedeur Sanders. Yep. They were talking about Coach Prime. And so God is funny how God worked. A lot of times the conception is built in chaos. The growth happens in the most chaotic and weird situations to where it really ends up coming out being a way bigger benefit because now everybody's talking about it, and they don't have no choice. They can't even control it. And so it's important to remember. I think with this thing with the Nike situation, and Nike again, they smart. So to T.Gold's point, they saw something and they realized, okay, we need to make some moves because it's still all a part of a system, and that system can act however it want to act whenever it decides to. The only thing that can't be controlled is Bitcoin, and I'm telling you that they're telling you without telling you, bro. The actions is telling you, like B said, figures don't lie and lies don't figure.
That's
You
right.
see what I'm saying? So it's important to really pay attention to what's going on, because that's the truth. You feel me? And it's being shown through the actions of these institutions that don't ever want to bow down. They don't want to bow down to this stuff, but they have no choice. You feel me?
Right.
So that's powerful. That's very powerful, and it's worth thinking about. That's it.
Yo, you smoked that, Doug. I got I had you some air horns on that, man. I had to, bro. That was, you smoked that, Doug. You know what I'm saying? Yo, Plan Profit, we appreciate that take. Man, we got one more story that we want to talk about, man. And we gonna wrap it up with that. I'm gonna play a special song at the end too, just for the bullshit that happened during the pod. You know what I mean? So, this last story, because we know we got some gamers. You know, I think my boy Just Cheeze, he's a big gamer. You know what I'm saying? So let's talk about it, man. Anybody familiar with the Battle of the Three Kingdoms? Well, it's a classic Sega game. All right, so the Battle of the Three Kingdoms is a strategic card battler blending crypto elements with Sega classic Shogashushi. I hope I said that right. Taisen franchise. It is set for early release April 30th. Okay, so that's in a couple of days. All right, so that's gonna be available on PC and mobile. So the game builds on the original arcade series concept and is available in multiple languages. It is NFT based, Awake Warlords cards built on the Oasis blockchain, which can be traded freely, and a planned SGC token for in-game rewards and purchases. With over 1 million pre-registrations and a brief load test on April 28th, this release marks another step by Sega in exploring blockchain gaming, even as it holds back on involving its most iconic franchises. I don't know why they didn't do this with Sonic the Hedgehog.
Come on now.
There's so many dope Sega games. I'm not a big Sega guy. I was more of a Nintendo guy and PlayStation guy. But yeah, man, Sega, they do got some games. So some of the biggest Sega game is Sonic the Hedgehog. They got films about it and everything. What do you think what's going to happen when Sonic the Hedgehog goes on chain? Whether it be a game, you know, and they do like augmented reality, something like a Pokemon Go with it. It's so many ways they can go with this, man. But this is a strategic card battler game, but it's blending crypto. So what do you guys think about any classic arcade games? It doesn't have to be Sega. What games would y'all like to see go on chain? You know? Who want to go first?
Yeah, this one's not really my lane.
Okay, if I
I'm
have
gonna
to go
sit
old
back.
school, okay.
No, he got.
So I think there's two things to think about here. One is, okay, this game, Battle of the Three Kingdoms, right, is strategic card battler game. I think it makes sense for that because we've seen the card battler games like Parallel work, right? We've seen some other card games.
Like what? Magic the Gathering too?
Yeah, on chain, like how those work, right? Now, and they're very much like asset driven. Like you got to have the card to be able to play that card, right? So, like it's like your deck, almost. So, it makes sense for these mechanics to be done in that manner. But what I think about this other space, which we haven't really been tapped in yet, right? Web3 gaming. The reason why Web3 gaming is bigger than just the game itself. The other side of the token is where I care about. It's the IP, right? We were just talking about this earlier. The reason why I asked if you plan on having the kids create assets, because now they have the opportunity to train their mind into creating new IP, right? and then that's something that was the one of the underlying promises or like gifts that NFTs brought us innately when you could get yourself a Bored Ape and put that same ape against your French fries or your
Burgers,
chocolate
mhm.
bar company that you start or your coffee brand that you start, right? It extends the brand and the utility around the digital asset. And I think so when you ask about Sonic, I don't necessarily care for Sonic in the way that can I play with Sonic in Web3? But I would love to license the Sonic IP, right?
Yeah.
And you see, I don't know if you know about this, but Formula One, back in the day, they McLaren did a partnership with Sega, and they had the whole car painted Sonic Blue.
Oh wow.
Because the debut of Sonic, and it's like whole commercials, fastest car alive, fastest thing alive, right? So it just paid very well, even to like there was a helmet that the driver was wearing that race, and in Japan's Japan Grand Prix, the winner of that actually got a Sonic trophy. The trophy was in the shape of Sonic that year.
Yeah, that's funny.
And so it's the IP for me that I would love to be able to say that, hey, I've gotten a part of, I would buy an NFT that gave me access to control like Sonic IP.
No, that's a great idea. Good point. B, what's your thoughts, man?
Okay, as an old school Sega head, I liked Centipede. I liked wasn't Pac-Man Sega?
No,
Nah, that was Atari.
That was Atari.
Namco.
Okay. So
Namco.
again, to your point, Joe, I think there are a lot of IP opportunities in the Sega universe, and I think again to bring some of those classic games back are going to be it's going to be a natural progression. I think again for Atari, not Atari, Sega to be kind of quiet. They've been quiet for a while. I think for them to kind of make a resurgence in game and in Web3 gaming could be a pivotal strategy for them. But I'm going to take this moment to kind of make an announcement. I thank the Atlanta blockchain for all the things that they've done. One of the projects that I'm working on is going to be something that you all are going to hear a lot more of, and that's called Gamers Pay Gamers. And we're building it on the Sui blockchain. And it's going to be, to Joe's point, it's going to be an opportunity to be able to educate the future generations of children to learn how to make, mint, and monetize NFTs.
Hey.
We've got to teach these young folks how to possibly make money online. And why not make it in an area where they are enjoying themselves, they love gaming. But to Joe's point, as he said, we were talking before the show started about giving these young folks the opportunity to make an NFT that could be used in a game. So if they created something for one of their favorite characters, that's some of the stuff that we're going to be developing in Gamers Play Gamers through our Make Mint Monetize opportunity. So again, big shout out to everybody at ABC, T.Gold. Thank you for having me today. And we're excited. So that's it.
You see how that segued? We started off with the banking. He was here. He was just here. Like, he wasn't even scheduled for this appearance. He popped up. He's experienced in the banking industry. First subject, we started talking about banking. We ended to round everything up with gaming. And guess what? He's working on a gaming platform on Sui. And we got a Sui representative right here. You know what I mean? So it's just this, the synchronicity. We on God's time, y'all. This is all I know. I don't know what this is leading up to. Because every time I try to imagine what it's going to be, everything in Web3 has literally blew my own expectations, man. So, man, the future looks extremely bright. But we're going to keep an eye on what you are building over there, B. Whenever it's done, you can definitely come up here. You promote it. You know what I'm saying?
Appreciate you.
Any social media content, send it my way. We're going to get it popping. Just Cheese. What you got, Cheese?
Just another thing to consider, right? like having a micro or launching a game studio, because what I think Swede's gonna need is they're gonna want partnerships of game studios. So now if you can start like a mini incubator around these game builders, and they can now have a pipeline for their games to end up on the Swede Play.
Okay. Taken in consideration. Thank you, Just Cheeze.
Any game
I
developers?
could throw some a budget at the
Hey, any game developers?
small one.
If y'all interested in building on Swede, a dope game, holla at B, man. You know what I'm saying? Because you gonna need some digital assets, a place to sell your digital assets, man. You know, Web3 gaming is the future. We know that there's gonna be game. Well, it's rumored GTA 6 will be on chain.
On Avalanche.
You know, so on Avalanche, yeah, that's the rumor. That's the rumor.
No, I'm
See, that's why we said it's a rumor. You know, I'm a journalist, so I got to say when something's a rumor and something's a fact. Playing Prophet, you got your hand up. What's good, brother?
Real quick, Joe hit it on the head a little bit earlier. So I'm bullish on the gaming aspect of Web3, and I'm bullish on the gambling aspect of Web3. And one of the reasons why is because as we move more into an AI, Internet of Things power world, a lot of the jobs and a lot of the conventional or the traditional ways of making money and earning income are going to no longer be profitable. Right. And so Joe said a concept that I think is important when he mentioned microeconomies. Pretty soon, every person is going to be their own miniature economy. And so what we're seeing in with gaming and with gambling and with a lot of these NFTs is like a valve to be able to release some of the pressure of how am I going to be able to be profitable in this new paradigm shift or this new way of function. You feel me? And so you're going to have ways of being able to own every little asset that you have, or being able to loan it out, or being able to make money off of it, whether it's your crypto, whether it's you're the best at GTA, so you've accumulated all of these things. Those things now have real world value. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like you beat these other games and you do this or you do that, like that's going to be able to be real exchangeable value that you can access and that you can leverage to be able to provide as a source of income. And we kind of see it already with gaming, how individuals are being paid such high amounts to play games. But when we really become fully immersed in the blockchain, every single piece, every skin, every wheel on your car, every rim is all going to be able to be leveraged for value. And so it's kind of showing us like the future of how the world is going to function, and there will be a need for ways for people to be able to generate money in real time. And so I think what we're seeing with a lot of this stuff is a precursor to how the future is going to be, where it's like you're going to be your own bank. I'm going to be able to loan my crypto out within myself. Like I'm going to be able to, in some ways, be my own completely insulated economy on multiple levels. And so I think it's important to kind of pay attention to what's going on. And even though this stuff may not be important to you, it's important to at least think about it, because where we're headed is coming really fast. You know what I'm saying? And you're going to look up and things are going to be completely different. And then you're going to be kind of left out the mix because you're not going to know what's going on. So I think that's where I know that's where we're headed. And I think that's what we're starting to see with a lot of these different partnerships and a lot of these different traditional games and a lot of these traditional gaming systems that are starting to migrate over and utilize this blockchain technology, because now it's almost like you could take a circle, something that was one complete thing, and you could split it out, or you could blow it out into 10 billion different individual pieces of value that can be moved across chain, that can be transferred without friction to anybody in the world. You know what I'm saying? So it's something to think about.
Great point. Go ahead.
No, it's just real quick. I just always say, like, in this gaming, Web3 gaming gonna be having 8-year-olds buying their parents' houses. That's it.
No, that's a super fact. You know, all these kids spending hours on these video games. Hey, look like it's about to be paying off in the future. You know, they get nice with these games, man. Winning all these digital assets, these rare items. You know, sell it off. Yeah, they might be able to forego college and just, hey, I ain't even going to college. What I'm gonna go to college for? I can make more money playing video games, man. So, yeah, that's great points, y'all. So, I know I got Aunt Mathis. I know he jumped up on stage earlier. I don't know if he still wanted to say his piece, but to follow up on what he said, and I've been looking for this because it hit my timeline on Twitter, on X, and I can't confirm it. So right now, this is gonna be a rumor. Because I'm a journalist, I gotta classify this information I'm about to give y'all as a rumor. But it's only on X that I've seen this information. I'm currently looking right now. It's not on any other publications. They saying he wants to take his NFL contract all in Bitcoin.
Yeah, I saw that too.
So I can't confirm that, but right now that is a rumor. But hey, if he does it, man, that'll be interesting to watch, man. You know what I'm saying? Just to see. There's a few other people that took it. It was Odell Beckham. He took a portion of his salary in Bitcoin.
Who was the
Ocon.
first person you mentioned that took all his salary in Bitcoin?
Ocon was.
Russell Ocon.
Yeah,
from
the first person.
the Carolina Panthers, and I believe Odell Beckham was like the second one. There's somebody else out there. I'm forgetting, but yeah, man. If he did take that, or he's looking to do that, yo, that might be a trend for his generation. You know what I'm saying? Like, real talk.
Right. I'm about to drop something on y'all, and y'all go ahead and remember.
Yeah, brother.
It's on record right here, and I want y'all to save this and come back and say Ant said so. Jay Chains, shout out to that brother, man.
That's
I
right.
appreciate him coming through. I saw y'all kicking it with him the other night. I was excited for y'all. Tia, you handling up. I love it. I saw the community coming together on the other side of Atlanta somewhere. And in the conversation he had, he mentioned something about UFC using a technology with a blockchain that he works with.
You want to shout him out? You want to shout him out?
Not yet.
All right.
But Jay Chains. And there's technologies out there where sports and memorabilia and athletes wearing certain components while they're participating and competing. And I'm gonna go ahead and just say this is where I come in as a visionary, man. Imagine Shedeur Sanders' helmet or cleats on that blockchain for an NFL team to just look at the stats. Let's get rid of the combine and use those stats for each athlete and forget the speculation.
Real-time data.
What'd you say? Numbers don't lie?
Figures don't lie.
Figures don't
Exactly.
lie?
I hate the okay, I'm gonna tell you, I used to work with I'm gonna stop mentioning these companies' names. They're not worthy of it anymore. I used to work with a large retail sports company. And after I stopped drinking the Kool-Aid, I realized, and what I saw is just going back to like just this whole weekend, I think that if I'm a football athlete and I score 2 touchdowns every weekend, do I necessarily need to go take off all my clothes so y'all can see all my muscles and stand on the box and run down the field? And do I still need to do that? I just scored 2 touchdowns for 12 weeks in a row against some of the best talent in the world. You still tell me I got to go out here and take off all my clothes and run up and down the field in front of y'all so y'all can give me a score? No, just take this data that's in my helmet or my football cleats.
That's right.
Now send me to the best team that's out there.
That's right.
Y'all see where I'm coming from?
That's right.
Super fast.
It's on record. Joe, was that I hear you giggling in the background?
Giggling?
I heard you snickering a little bit because you know where I'm coming from, huh?
No.
Nah, we all co-sign what you saying, brother. You was
Okay.
spot on.
So that's what I'm saying, y'all. So that's what I'm saying. Y'all know where we were in early March, late February. You know what we were trying to do. That work is not done yet. I have access to those individuals.
Let's go.
So let's just put on record here and let's come back to this and be like, we said so.
Let's go.
Hey, my nephew, he was a dog, and we used to ask him when he was 11, like, do you want to play in the NFL? He said, I can't get on that auction block. He was that young, and I'm just being straightforward. And he was like, because that's what it felt like, watching them go up there and do all that stuff.
I mean, all the owners is white. I mean, it is what it is.
You know.
And trust me, y'all, this is a hard conversation for me to have because I played football since I started playing football when I was 8 years old, all the way up until was like 20, 21 years old. And if they would have called me, not knowing at that time and not having the knowledge, even though my god brother still was there at that time, he told me what I'm saying now, I probably still would have went that way. But after I got a chance to work for these organizations that cater to these, and I saw how they treat these athletes, I was like, this don't look right. This looks very similar to some in history. And then I started hearing some of the players. So shout out to Odell Beckham Jr. and Russell Okung. Hopefully I got their names corrected. But we need more athletes like that as examples to break away from that old system. And I want to commend LeBron James and his business partner, Maverick Carter, for what they're looking to do. From what I understand, I don't know if it's a rumor. I don't know if it's a fact. I'm about to start checking into it. They're thinking globally. And when they're thinking globally, imagine how that league could be supported with the space that we're in. I'm done, y'all. I'm done.
Yo, Ant, man, you cooked that, man. You definitely cooked that, man. Yo,
I was going to
Cheeze.
say one thing. I mean, to add on to Ant's point, I love this idea of putting this stuff on chain, right? Like sports. When me and Jay Chains were talking about it, right? And I asked him, what do you think the value there in putting the gloves on chain? He started going down the line, and then it clicked, and I was like, oh yeah, sports science. That's a very big thing. You should really see that. I played the video, right, where we saw the NFL already doing the digital twin projects, right? So now, but if that was all on chain, and inefficiencies like the combine, I never watched the combine before, but I'm hearing the anguish and the angst about it, and how it seems to be unnecessary, or basically a manipulative process around going against the stats and trying to pack everything into this one score, this centralized system, right, that can be manipulated by whoever the brands want to show off that time. So if Nike wants to have a good showing for their product, right, so whoever ends up wearing the Nike sneaker might be the person that gets the most love, and it's all for a game, for a show. And why should I put all of my season's worth of talent into being jeopardized as a result of this show that you guys have? So I agree with what Ant's saying there. It would be very powerful to have a solution where you could just check in with your data. That is your data, and you did the work that you did. Now make it actually count for you.
Lamar Jackson is the epitome of that. Lamar Jackson says, no, I'm not going to the combine, and my mom is my agent. And we all know Lamar Jackson, number 8 for the Baltimore Ravens.
That's right.
He's the example. So let's apply that technology, then, what we're into, to individuals like that. And let's start making those connections. And let's just start making an impact. The NBA has adjusted and made some changes on, like, R-star selections and how they go about playoffs. Like, they change up a little bit. I like how the NBA operates differently than the NFL. The NFL is I would say more conservative, and the ownership, you can see how that looks. But I think as the pressure starts applying and we start getting into these spaces, and we slowly are, like, the Denver Broncos has, a lot of a variety of ownership. The Atlanta Falcons do too. Speaking of, like, Dominique Dawes and Warwick Dunn, and so as these type of individuals start getting into these spaces, like right here in Atlanta, like I just mentioned it, let's go to these individuals like, hey, this is what we see, and get that meeting, and then go through and then just run up the chain, because eventually the pressure's going to be on them. They hear this, they know they're going to have to change. If they don't change, I know it sounds crazy, man. Nobody ever thinks the NFL's ever going anywhere, but things do change. There are other options. There always will be.
Hey, you see what Cube did with the big 3, so sometimes people can. There's more than one way to skin a cat, especially giving players another option to make money and to capitalize on their data, you know. And another thing that was shown in that video, it actually reduced the amount of player injuries where they can capitalize on this data too, you know.
Yeah.
Just preventative stuff too. So it's so many angles to this, man, but eventually it's going to be integrated, and Ant, you spot on for that, man. I appreciate everybody. I appreciate you, brother. Yo, let's give a round of applause to everybody, man. Thank y'all, man. I'm going to give some air horns. You know what I mean? Give some air horns. You know what I'm saying? So,
good episode.
it was a great episode, man. I appreciate everybody's time. You know, this is episode 63. We creeping on 2 hours and some change. We do this every Sunday at 4:20. We live on Instagram. We live on YouTube. We appreciate everybody on the visuals checking in. You know what I'm saying? We got the ABC shirts on. You know, so, you know, get Web3 wavy with some merch. I got the iPad case cover. I got my Samsung Galaxy case cover out here. You know what I'm saying?
It was better in the 90s.
You know, and I definitely agree. You know, the 90s is super wavy. So speaking of 90s, speaking of sports, speaking of the culture, and speaking on the bullshit that happened during the middle of our podcast where we got rugged, you know, I'm gonna play something classic. We're gonna leave on a classic joint. I don't know if y'all even heard this, but this is probably one of my favorite joints and probably the best song by an athlete ever. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna tell y'all like this. I'm gonna keep this shit super authentic, man. My guy Shaq, man. I'm gonna play Shaq, man. Y'all don't know, man, but he had multiple platinum albums in the 90s. And he made this one song with one of my favorite rappers of all time. But just like what they tried to do with us, they tried to rug us today. They can't stop the rain, y'all. They can't stop the rain. You know what I'm saying? So that's what it is, man. That's where we gonna go. Big up to Shaq. You know what I'm saying? And for being the owner. And this is your boy T.Gold, along with NFTia and Just Cheeze, special guest B. We out here, ABC Live, TCK Web3 News Roundtable, episode 63. I appreciate all of y'all for checking in. I'm out. Let's go. Peace.
That was a great episode. That was a heavy combo. And that was a heavy combo, wasn't it? Oh, man.
You know the name, Shaq aim to maintain money on the brain, can't stop the rain, the rain. Legends and figures, cream lizards, cream coochies. I do my duty as long as they fly as me and high as me. Success on my circle, trying to break it, I hurt you. Ain't no getting out that, I doubt that. We want the exotic, erotic ladies, not them toxic ladies that burn a lot. I learned a lot from junkies to ruffians, from being tied up by Colombians. Cause 80 grams was missing, listen, had to change my position from wanting to be large to head in charge. My garage called it CeeLo. 4, 5, and 6s, honeys by the mixes. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Smoke out with Leo, Mickey Tarantino. Sounds like a sumo, fresh like numero uno. Can't stop, won't stop, can't stop, won't stop, can't stop, won't invincible, smooth individual. Who wanna test it? Foreign or domestic? No matter where you're from, I'm not the one you wanna mess with. Original with the style, living lavish. Private jet to let my shorty shop in Paris. I'm not the average, I'm far from the norm. It's daddy long, hitting them strong, keeping you warm. Allowed to a lemon, my DC women, bringing in touching minimums to condos with elevators in. Vehicles with televisions in them. Watch the entourage turn yours to just mirages. Disappearing acts, strictly nines and max killers be serial. Copperfield material. My dreams is vivid. Work hard to live it. Any place I visit, I got land there. I can play a stand there and say I sound like them. With 6 coops and stello. Plus clips that expand from hand to elbow. Spray up your days in any telling you in. Crack writing, take a writing, how I make me drugging. Dizzy these street sweepers inside the beam of wagon. I rely on Red Sky to shut it down if I die. Put that on my diamond bezel. You're messing with the devil. Can't stop, won't stop. Can't stop, won't stop. Can't stop, won't stop. Can't stop, won't stop. Can't stop, won't stop.
I'm gonna get back on and be working tonight, but I gotta get home and I gotta see what time my meeting is.